Welcome to Reinventing Broadcast, where AI meets content. Here we have a bonus episode for you. Let's dive in.
Today, we're actually taking a fascinating trip back to 2015.
Yeah, 2015. Feels like a while ago now, doesn't it?
It really does.
Okay.
But for one person we learned about, working with a client on a huge cloud migration, 2015 really marked this pivotal moment for broadcast in the cloud.
Mm-hmm. And we've got some great stuff to dig into here, industry research, notes from conferences, even some really detailed personal learning logs from that individual.
So our mission today is to really unpack what was going on then?
Exactly. What was happening in media. We'll look at the anxieties people had, but also the breakthroughs.
And how that personal journey, diving deep into AWS when it was still pretty new, mirrors maybe some of the big shifts we see now, like with AI.
Precisely. It's all connected,
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into it.
All right. So early 2015, it's easy to think now that cloud was just, obvious. But back then?
Oh, not at all. The broadcast industry was really on the edge. Lots of hesitation.
Yeah, we found these notes from a webinar, Cloud Reality, January 2015, big broadcasters involved.
And it's really telling, isn't it, what they were saying?
Totally. Like a representative from one major broadcaster, their whole view of cloud was basically infrastructure as a service, IaaS.
Right. Just servers, essentially. Thinking of it as a virtual data center, a direct replacement for the physical boxes.
Which meant they were really focused on needing software refactoring. You couldn't just lift and shift everything.
No, and they needed vendors to actually offer proper cloud solutions, not just tweaked on-prem stuff.
And the scale they were dealing with was just, wow.
152 petabytes of content delivered per year.
That's staggering. And then you throw 4K into the mix, which was just starting to loom.
Yeah, so you needed direct delivery, you needed auto-scaling, things that were really hard to do efficiently on-premise. The old ways were starting to creak.
But not everyone was convinced, were they? We saw notes about Sky, for instance.
Right. Someone there was pretty skeptical. Still comparing cloud head-to-head with their on-prem setup.
And bringing up trust issues.
Big time. They pointed to past AWS outages, ones that had hit Amazon itself and Netflix. For a broadcaster, uptime is everything, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any downtime is just catastrophic financially and for your reputation.
So that reliability question was huge.
And it wasn't just about trust. There were technical needs, too. Specific ones.
Yeah, like GPUs, graphics processing units.
That's essential for media stuff, right? Editing, rendering.
Exactly. High-end workflows. And the sources say cloud providers back then actually needed educating about needing higher GPU tiers. It wasn't a standard offering.
So a learning curve on both sides. Broadcasters explaining, hey, we need this, and AWS, Google, Azure figuring it out.
But, despite all that initial hesitation, things started to shift. And pretty quickly, actually.
How so?
Well, that same rep from the major broadcaster, the one focused on IaaS. Later on, they admitted video processing and delivery were 100% there in the cloud.
Wow, that's quite a turnaround.
It really is. A huge shift in thinking in just a matter of months. Seems like a real tipping point.
And they had this interesting strategy, didn't they, about being first customers?
Yeah, being a first or second customer so they could influence how vendors develop their products. Smart, really.
It's that land and expand idea, right? Get a foot in the door, then grow the service.
Precisely. Though it's interesting, most software as a service was still on the IT side of the business then. It hadn't really hit the core media operations yet.
But the speed of change surprised even them.
It did. That same person said they were ahead of where they thought they'd be, and that only 2 years before, they wouldn't touch cloud.
2 years. That's incredibly fast for a big industry shift.
It really shows how compelling the benefits must have become once they got over those initial hurdles.
And you start seeing concrete evidence of this everywhere in 2015. Discovery was hiring specifically for playout migration.
Right, moving core channel operations. That's a big commitment.
Another company, AMC, was looking at system integration for playout and even private cloud.
So the momentum was building. People were actively working on it.
We also saw new products popping up, like Cloud Coder.
Yeah, saw that at a CDN conference, Content Delivery Network. They were offering live TV actually in the cloud.
Using standard web tech?
RTMP endpoints, partnering with Wowza, big name in streaming engines. And they had Eurosport as a client, so this wasn't just talk, it was happening.
Wow. And I even saw notes about freelance work at Deluxe.
Oh, yeah.
Supporting live NFL, other sports channels, broadcasting from the cloud. And the focus wasn't just moving stuff. It was designing how it would work day to day.
Shaping future operations, that's key, not just replicating the old ways.
Exactly.
And there were pioneers really pushing the envelope. Like at that CDN conference in October 2015, there was this guy from Tribe
What are you doing?
sharing how they were using remote desktop and AWS with Wowza for live vision mixing, maybe even from a smartphone stream.
From a smartphone. In 2015,
Yeah.
that's really forward thinking.
Absolutely. And his strategy was clear. AWS was the core. Use native AWS services, like their databases. And crucially, commit to learning everything about AWS.
Building that deep expertise.
Yes. He also mentioned AWS buying Elemental, initially thought it was basic, but then saw the potential of GPU instances, those EC2 compute instances, for proper editing and live mixing.
Which connects back to that earlier point about needing GPUs.
Right. And tying it all together, you look at an AWS keynote from that October entry, their CEO or CTO speaking, and they're showing case studies from GE, other huge, diverse companies.
So it wasn't just media.
No way. This cloud thing was hitting everywhere, a massive shift across industries.
Okay, so let's pivot a bit to that personal journey you mentioned, the deep dive into AWS itself.
Yeah, this individual deep in this client's cloud migration project, it became more than just a job requirement. It sparked a real passion for AWS.
Not just learning the basics, but really wanting to master it.
Exactly. And it kicked off quite specifically, didn't it?
Yeah, with an AWSome Day workshop, October 2015.
Mm-hmm. And a technical evangelist there shared this mantra. What was it?
Don't forget what you know, just apply it for the cloud.
That's it. Simple but powerful, right? It's about adapting existing knowledge, not throwing it all away. Still relevant today, I think.
Definitely. And that mantra clearly lit a fire. This person went all in.
Booking more workshops, half day, full day.
Registering for the AWS Solutions Architect Associate exam, $150 back then. Plus, practice exams.
It wasn't casual learning. It was a serious investment of time and money.
And using new tools, too. Cloud-based ones.
Like Lucidchart for diagrams that even had AWS templates built in. And Quick Labs for hands-on practice. Got some deal for unlimited access, apparently.
Smart. Practice is key.
And networking. Talking to AWS Pro Services folks, the head of broadcast solution architects.
Right.
Getting real-world diagrams and insights. A whole learning ecosystem.
So through all this, what were the big aha moments? The eye-opening concept.
Well, security was massive, that whole shared responsibility model.
Right. AWS secures the cloud itself, the infrastructure.
But you, the customer, are responsible for security in the cloud. Your data, your configurations, your apps.
It's a crucial distinction, isn't it?
Oh.
Easy to overlook.
Very. And it highlights things like managing encryption keys, who holds them, you or AWS, and that stark warning, never, ever leave your access keys on GitHub.
Oh, God, yeah. That's just asking for trouble. Someone spins up 1,000 servers on your dime.
Exactly. Which leads right into cost management, another huge learning area.
Figuring out the calculators, how costs differ by region.
And simple tricks like using cron jobs, scheduled tasks to shut down EC2 instances, those virtual servers, overnight, like closing the laptop lid, as the notes say.
Saves a bundle if you don't need them 24/7. And reserved instances for predictable workloads.
Mm-hmm. And they have this scary, concrete example of a DDoS attack.
The denial of service attack.
Yeah, cost $15,000 because AWS had to automatically scale everything way up to handle 86 million connections over 4 days.
15 grand. That really hammers home the financial side, doesn't it? The good and the potentially very bad.
Definitely motivates you to manage costs carefully.
So beyond security and cost, what about the core services themselves? What did they dive into?
Oh, the building blocks. Compute, storage, networking, databases.
Compute being EC2, the virtual machines.
Right. Learning about instance types, tagging them for organization, using IAM rules for permissions instead of hard-coding keys, setting up security groups like firewalls, using load balancers.
And Lambda was just emerging then, wasn't it? That serverless thing.
Yeah, super cheap, like $5 a month for 1,000 runs or something. Tiny bits of code that run on demand, triggered by events like, say, a file upload to S3 storage. Revolutionary, really.
And storage the difference between S3 and EBS.
Crucial. S3 is object storage, think infinite online lockers, great for web files, big media assets, highly durable, spread across regions.
Whereas EBS is block storage.
Like a traditional hard drive attached to one specific EC2 instance in one specific availability zone or beta center. Faster for OS or databases, but you need to actively snapshot it to back it up or replicate it.
Gotcha. Different tools for different jobs.
Exactly. And networking VPCs, virtual private clouds, your own isolated network slice in AWS.
Setting up subnets, routing tables, like building your own virtual network.
And VPC peering to connect VPCs, direct connect for that dedicated link back to your own data center. Vital for broadcasts needing low latency.
Plus Read 53 for DNS, the Internet's phone book.
Yep. And databases. RDS, the relational database service, managing things like MySQL, Oracle for you, with easy multi-AZ redundancy.
And DynamoDB for NoSQL.
Great. Highly scalable for unstructured data. Plus Elasticache for caching to speed things up, and Redshift for massive data warehousing analytics.
A full universe of services.
It really is. And finally, the management tools to control it all. IAM for user access groups, roles, permissions.
Super important for security.
Critical. CloudWatch for monitoring everything, setting alarms, triggering auto-scaling. Elastic Beanstalk to simplify deploying web apps. And CloudFormation.
Infrastructure as code.
Yeah.
That was a big step.
Huge. Using templates to define and deploy your entire infrastructure automatically. Moving towards automation, maybe using tools like Chef2, programming your infrastructure.
It sounds like an incredibly intense learning period.
Absolutely. Designing systems, security.
Like what specifically?
Things like VPC security rules for SSH access, how EBS encryption worked, choosing the right service for handling GPS data streams, data pipeline versus Kinesis versus AppStream, knowing Route 53 record types, how EC2 instances handle user data, dealing with temporary data, network performance between instances, RDS port access, really specific stuff.
So it wasn't just general knowledge, it was deep, practical application.
Exactly. It shows that mastery takes time, hitting roadblocks, and really digging into the details. Persistence was key.
Okay, so let's pull back. We've dived deep into 2015 broadcast, this AWS journey. What's the bigger picture here, the so what for today?
Well, the parallels are just striking, aren't they? Especially when you look at what's happening with AI right now.
How so?
Think about it. Broadcast moving to the cloud fundamentally changed that industry, but the cloud revolution went way beyond media, right?
Yeah, it hit everything.
And AI is doing the same thing now. It's not just a tech sector thing. It's transforming healthcare, finance, retail, everything.
Yep.
Transcending boundaries.
And that learning curve.
Yeah.
The struggle to understand AWS back then.
It's exactly like the steep curve individuals and whole companies face with AI today. Understanding the models, the ethics, the deployment challenges. It's that same feeling of grappling with something huge and new.
That feeling of, okay, I know my stuff, but how do I apply it to this?
Precisely. That don't forget what you know mantra again.
And the move towards automation back then. Infrastructure as code with CloudFormation.
Yeah, those early steps were foundational for today. You can't manage the complexity and scale of modern AI systems without that kind of automation. It's absolutely essential now.
And data. The huge volumes driving cloud in 2015.
Seems almost quaint compared to the insatiable data appetite of AI models today.
Huh. Yeah, good point. It just highlights that ongoing challenge. Managing, storing, processing, ever-growing mountains of data.
And security. The lessons learned about securing things in the cloud, managing access with IAM.
They're even more critical now with AI, aren't they?
Yeah.
Data privacy, model security, bias, ethical considerations. It's like security and responsibility on steroids.
Absolutely. The stakes feel even higher.
So looking back at that individual's journey, the hard work, even the exam failure, and bouncing back.
It just underscores that these tech revolutions aren't just about the technology. They're about people. Our ability to adapt, to persist, to keep learning when things get tough, that human element is what makes it all actually happen.
So wrapping this up, looking back at 2015 isn't just history. It really is a lens for understanding right now.
For sure. It's a powerful reminder of how fast things can fundamentally change, driven by technology, industry needs, and, individual determination.
The early days of broadcast cloud, that personal AWS journey. They really do tell us a lot about how these revolutions unfold.
Indeed. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are the new mantras we need today? How do we apply what we know now to these next big frontiers, like AI?
That's a great question. What will your deep dive look like 5 years from now when you're looking back at this moment? What will you wish you'd learned?
Something to think about.
Thanks for listening to Reinventing Broadcast. Subscribe for more on AI content and the future of media. And visit ancast.tv for more info on Ben himself, the resources, other content, and news.